Okay, so let's take a look at this question. The diagram below shows an aquatic habitat. So four friends made the following statements. Okay, before we look at the statements, let's look at the picture. So this is a one type of plant, which is a water hyacinth, because it floats on water. It floats on water because it has swollen stems that are filled with air. This is a fish. This is a fish. This is also a fish. This is another type of underwater plant. So this is either a hydrilla or Elodia. E-L-O-D-E-A. So hydrilla and Elodia are plants that are submerged. So I'm saying all the names because I want you to get familiar with these names so that you can recognize them when you see in your questions. So these are like small things. When you look at a question, then you will know later they are also known as tadpoles. So tadpoles are the young of frogs. So you have frogs, you have tadpoles, and you have eggs. So it's egg to tadpole, tadpole to frog, and frog lay eggs. So they are the young of frogs. So four friends made the following statement. There are a total of 2 different populations in the aquatic habitat. So let's revise what is a population. Population is basically bigger than an organism. Organism is any living thing. All right. So a population is the same kind, which includes the young and the old. So the entire population of frogs, tadpoles, all the organisms of frogs, tadpoles, and eggs add up together to form one population of frogs. So there are 2 different populations in the aquatic habitat. That's wrong because you have fish, you have the water hyacinth. All right, so you have fish, you have water hyacinth. That's 2 populations. You have this submerged plants, which is either hydrilla or elodia. That's 3 populations. You have tadpoles, which is under frogs, so it's 4 populations. So therefore, this is wrong. All right, so there are a total of 4 populations. The fishes and tadpoles form 2 communities in aquatic habitat. So communities are below. So like a triangle. All right, so organism is the top population. Communities are made up of different populations, so therefore fishes and tadpoles form one community. So this entire community is the pond community, okay? And not just fishes and tadpoles plus all the plants. Fishes, tadpoles plus all the plants form one community, which is called the pond community. So therefore this is wrong. The tadpoles, fishes, and aquatic plants form one community in the aquatic habitat. This is correct. All right, so all the animals and all the organisms in this entire pond form one community. So the tadpoles, fishes, and aquatic plants form 3 different populations in the aquatic habitat. So again, population is the same kind that includes the young and the old. So let's count the number of populations. Water hyacinth is 1 population. The fishes are 2 population. This hydrilla or elodia is 3 population. The tadpoles plus frogs is 4 population. So therefore this is wrong. This is not 3, but this is actually 4 different populations in the aquatic habitat, right? So the answer is just C only, number 1. Okay, again, let's look at this. We have, the diagram shows plants living in a community. So we have cattail, 1 population. We have water hyacinth, 2 population. We have duckweed, 3. Lotus, 4. We have seagrass, 5. We have elodia, 6. Seagrass again, so same, elodia, same. So altogether 6 populations. So the answer is number 3. So remember, we have organisms, which is any living thing. We have population, which is a group of organisms. And we have community, which is a group of population, different kinds of population. Okay, so any living thing, young plus old, and a group of population, different populations of organisms. Okay, let's look at the next question. Jenny has a garden where she planted some vegetables and fruit trees. She always buries leftover food and bones in the garden instead of throwing them away in the dustbin. Why does Jenny bury these items? Okay, so we need to realize she's waiting for something called decomposers to come and do their work, which will change these items, this food and bones and whatnot, into nutrients. All right, nutrients for other plants to grow. All right, so a bit of revision. What do decomposers consist of? What kinds of things are called decomposers? They are fungi, bacteria, and insects. All right, so insects, worms, fungi, bacteria, they all help to decompose food. So why does Jenny bury these items? So because they will not be broken down easily. Nope, that's not true. They will be broken down easily in the soil. They will decompose only if they are buried. Nope, that's not true. They will decompose even if they are exposed to air, because that's where the other the bacteria can get to them. The fungi also can reach them. They will attract mosquitoes if they are not buried. That's not true. They will attract mosquitoes if they are not buried. Yeah, that's not true. They will decompose and provide nutrients for the plants. So this one is correct. All right, they will decompose and provide nutrients for her plants to grow. Okay, so the diagram below shows 3 birds, X, Y, and Z, which feed on fish. So again, if you see this kind of X, Y, and Z, be very, very careful. Always try and label and put it into the diagram itself. Okay, so let's look at Z. So Z has tall legs. So tall legs usually like to stand on muddy ground. Okay, so they can stand up and they can see the fish. So I'll put Z over here. This is a duck. So a duck likes to go to a deep pond. I'll put an X over here. And this is a bird that has sharp claws, so it likes to stand on tall trees. I'll put it at Y over here. So let's look at the answer. Which of the birds X, Y, Z are most likely found at D, E, F? Okay, it's very easy to get confused. So at D, I'll write Z. At E, I'll write X. And F, I'll write Y. And then from here, I look for the correct answer, which is this one. All right, so my answer is 3. Now this step helps you to reduce your careless mistake, because you just have to compare this and this and this answer to find the right one, because you have already went through the thinking process of which animal is located at the tall tree and so on and so forth. So Daniel collected water from 4 different ponds to grow duckweed. So again, just a quick revision. Duckweeds are plants that grow on the surface, and they are very small. From the top, they look like that. Right? Very small leaves. He poured 100 ml of water from each pond into 4 similar beakers. He then added 20 duckweeds into each beaker and left the beakers near a window. Near a window means there is sun. Okay, at the end of each week, he counted the number of duckweeds in each beaker and recorded his observations below. So number of weeks: week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. Number of duckweeds: 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So all of them started at 20. All of them were placed near a window where they had sunlight. All of them had 20. All of them had 100 ml of water. So what's the only variable? The only variable is the different type of water. 4 different ponds, the different type of water. So this is a good experiment. There's only one variable, which is a different type of water. So let's look at beaker A. Beaker A increased. Beaker B remained the same at 20 over the different weeks. Beaker C decreased. Beaker D decreased even further. So which beaker of water, A, B, C, or D, is the most suitable for the growth of duckweeds? So the most suitable would be beaker A. And why? Because there were the most duckweeds in beaker A after 6 weeks. All right, so there were the most duckweeds, so it is the most suitable for growth, or the population. You can also say the population of duckweeds increased while other beakers decreased. Okay, so that's why it is the most suitable for the growth of duckweeds. All right, so after a few weeks, Daniel returned to the pond where the water in beaker A was taken from. He observed that the duckweeds covered almost the whole surface of the pond and dead fish were floating on the pond. So it will look something like this. So there's water on the pond and you have duckweed. All right, so duckweed was covering the entire surface of the pond, and you have fishes that were dead. Okay, so fishes that were dead, floating. Explain Daniel's observation. So when I say explain, you have to say why did this happen. All right, so duckweeds covered the whole of the pond. So, and it's a 2-mark question, right? So have to write 2 points. So duckweeds covered the whole pond, which will lead to this in block what? Block 50, block 40, block 30, block the sunlight. Okay, block the sunlight from the underwater plants. So this is your hydrilla or your elodia. Block sunlight from submerged plants like hydrilla. Okay, and remember you have to ask yourself, so what? Okay, so what if it blocks sunlight from submerged plants like hydrilla? Then you cannot photosynthesize. And so what if you cannot photosynthesize? Then you do not produce oxygen. This is the key thing. And so what if you do not produce oxygen? The dissolved oxygen level in the pond will decrease. And so what if the dissolved oxygen levels in the pond will decrease? Lack of oxygen for the fishes. And so what if they have lack of oxygen for the fishes? The fishes will die. Okay, so you need to get this train of thought. Basically, the duckweeds covered the entire surface of the pond. So what if the duckweeds covered? They will block the sunlight from the submerged plants like hydrilla. And so what if they block the sunlight? The plants cannot photosynthesize. And so what if they cannot photosynthesize? The plants do not produce oxygen. And so what if they do not produce oxygen? The dissolved oxygen level in the pond will decrease. And so what? There'll be lack of oxygen for the fishes. And so what? And they will die. Okay, so you have to get the train of thought correct as to what are the effects of all the different points. Then you can get your full 2 marks. Okay, let's look at this question. Organism X can be found in the sea, soft and flexible abdomen, no shell of its own. Look for an abandoned shell of organism Y and carry the shell on its back. So this is actually a hermit crab. So it's found in the seashore community. Soft and flexible abdomen. So explain how the behavior of organism X helps its survival. So the shell protects the soft and flexible abdomen from who? From you, from me, from predators. Okay, so the shell protects the soft and flexible abdomen from predators so that it will not eat the hermit crab. So it was observed that organism X sometimes carries other organisms such as organism Z on its shell. Organism Z moves very slowly from place to place on its own, and its tentacles are poisonous. So organisms X and Z are interdependent on each other for their survival. How does organism X benefit from organism Z? So just to refresh, so this one is these are poisonous. All right. So how does X help Z? Because organism X help to keep predators away from organism Z. So how does organism Z benefit from organism X? So organism Z move very slowly, right? So X will help to transport organism Z to places with more food. Okay, because Z moves very slowly, so X will help to transport organism X will help to transport organism Z to places where there's more food.